One more time. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Keefe here with another GhostCultMag.com weekly ritual. Oh, no, it's not the weekly ritual. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm fucking delirious. It's not the weekly ritual. It's a plain old live stream, and I'll tell you why. Because we had some big news today. Owen Guns is here. I don't know who's going to show up. I'm going on a little bit late. I'm obviously a little bit delirious, but already unhinged. Okay, cool. But yeah, we are doing the thing, and I'll tell you why. Tomorrow is actually the weekly ritual, and a little bit of a service note. We are going to be going on a little bit later than usual, a little bit earlier than usual tomorrow. I should get my shit straight before I start, huh? Professional as always. That's your boy Keefe. But Eddie Allman is here. What up? What up? So we're going to do a live stream on the just announced 9 Inch Nails Festival. I kind of feel like this should have been bigger news today, but I think the nature of the announcement caught people off guard, certainly caught me off guard. We kind of got an inkling that they were teasing something, and then it dropped. So we're going to jump right into it and talk about it. If you want to talk about it or anything, let me know. First things first. I got a little deck to pull up here with some cool things that I put together. Matt Ledoux is here. Hello, Matt. Yo, there it is. Where's this guy? Come on. Boom, there it is. Hey, boom, you're looking for this? Off the hinges already, but we'll do our best. I'm excited about this festival. I'm thinking about going to this festival. I would like to cover this festival. I don't know 100% if they're going to have press at this thing. Trent is notoriously not pro press, but we have also been lucky enough to cover 9 Inch Nails a few times. So I feel extremely fortunate. Anybody who's watching, thanks for being here. Feel free to drop in and say what's up if you're on the Tube of You, on TikTok, on Twitch, all the things. If you follow us, we follow back. CC is here. Dave is here also. Ghost Cake, how you doing? If you like 9 Inch Nails, this chat has your name all over it, pal, and this is why. So 9 Inch Nails announced the Future Ruins Festival today, and we're going to talk all about it and actually unpack a little bit about why I think this became a thing. Goblin Dees Rev is here. Ian is here. Blaine is here. And I'll welcome some more people in as they roll through. But yeah, man. First things first, if you want, you can tip us for being here. We appreciate tips for good service. We have a live stream menu for 2025. We will answer your questions, certainly about this topic, for free. You can support us generally for $3. You can, or a super chat or a super thanks on YouTube. You can buy us a coffee from Ko-fi for $6. And a whole lot more. So we'll just drop that into the menu and do the damn thing. But generally speaking, mostly I do this menu for our regular weekly live stream, which will be tomorrow afternoon. And I'll just drop it here in the comments to everybody, unfortunately, except TikTok, who is not getting to see this through the awesomeness of StreamYard. And then also places you can support us with a payment in addition to super thanks, super likes, etc. Clayman666 is here. You might be an In Flames fan if your name is Clayman666. We take money at Cash App, Venmo, Ko-fi, PayPal, all the things. So feel free to hook us up. Blake is also here. Michelle, Jordan. Oh, C-Mom, Joe Mama, and Mr. Biscuitneck. So, real quick, we'll get into here's our Cash App if you want to just, generally speaking, drop us, pause and send us some money. We always appreciate it. Thanks for whoever liked the chat here on TikTok. We're going to talk about 9 Inch Nails in just a second, and we're going to unpack it for all of you. But anyway, just a reminder, if you're in the Las Vegas area or California area, we are giving away a pair of tickets to Punk Rock Bowling next weekend. Not this coming weekend. Next weekend is Punk Rock Bowling, May 24th through the 26th in Las Vegas, at downtown Las Vegas. We're not paying for your travel or your accommodations, but if you want to go to the festival, we're giving away a pair of tickets. Feel free to hit the link in our description or the pinned post on Instagram to enter. All you got to do is like the post, tag a friend, follow us. All those things are suggested, and you can win tickets to Punk Rock Bowling. Pretty badass lineup if you ask me. But we're here to talk about Nine Inch Nails, and here's a great photo as shot by my partner and the co-owner of Ghost Cult Mag, Omar Cordy. GhostCultMag.com. We are your not sucky blabbermouth, and we're your not sucky metal sucks. That's what we do. That's what we do here. If you like Nine Inch Nails, we're going to talk all about it right now. Why on earth did Nine Inch Nails, 36 years into a career, start a festival? Well, we're going to tell you why. They've actually been planning this for quite a while. Why? And we're going to talk about it right now. So first and foremost, I thought this was cool. I'm going to start putting these together sometimes for these whenever relevant and timely. Nine Inch Nails by the numbers. So formed in 1988. They have 11 studio albums, not including the expected new studio album that is done and we're expecting to hear about soon, at least in the next, 6 to 8 months. They're either going to have an album for late 2025 or early 26. That's what we've been led to believe. An actual Nine Inch Nails album, not just all these soundtracks. 1 live album, 3 remix albums, 6 EPs, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2022. 19 soundtrack scores, and that number will grow by at least 3 this year. They have a video game soundtrack score, the much anticipated Tron Eras soundtrack, and at least 1 more that they've intimated they're putting out. They have won 2 Oscars, 3 Golden Globes, and 1 Emmy. Why did I mention these things? Because it kind of occurred to me that Nine Inch Nails is one of the most celebrated and respected and honored bands ever. I know, and I think 1 Grammy, but Trent hates the Grammys. He actually won a Grammy for the musical soundtrack to Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but he doesn't like them, so he scoffed at that award. Wasn't too fond of winning it or even getting nominated because they've snubbed him before. But, they're a very celebrated band. They're one of our leaders. So why are they doing a music festival? Well, I'll tell you why. Here's another awesome picture from a photo from our own Meg Loyal. From Meg Loyal Photography. She shot this at Aftershock many years back. We've covered Nine Inch Nails by themselves. We covered them at Aftershock. And we've covered them at Riot Fest that we always cover. We're going back to Riot Fest this year, hopefully, and we'll be covering them again sometime. So Nine Inch Nails intimated in some interviews in 2024 that they were looking into doing a festival, and it wouldn't be a typical music festival. Now, when you think of metal festivals or rock festivals or things, they're usually not led by bands. They're usually a big consortium of headliners. They're usually curated by whoever the founders of the fest are. Danny Wimmer Presents does Aftershock, Louder Than Life. They just did Sonic Temple Welcome to Rockville is this coming weekend. We have Milwaukee Metal Fest now headed up by Jamie Josta. That was like a huge thing back in the day, and now it's back the last few years. It'll be back again next year. And usually these festivals are planned like a year or 2 in advance also, because you have to book the bands and certain talent has to come in from around the world, and you have to understand everybody's release schedules and touring schedules and kind of what's going on with them, especially considering how expensive and difficult touring is now. And, all the things about visas and tariffs and the increase in the prices just to get a work visa to come into this country as a working musician. So they've been planning this probably for over a year, more than over a year, that they plan to do this specific festival with this specific lineup, more or less around this specific thing. Drew says he hasn't seen a show since 2010 and you miss going to shows. Drew, I'm sorry to hear that. So many bands you love to see. What's keeping you from going to shows, Drew? Let us know. We'll talk. We'll chop it up, man. I will tell you, I am going to less shows this year. Last year, I was going about 2-3 shows a week. When I lived in Brooklyn, before I moved to California, I was going to seriously 5 to 6 shows a week. Every night of the week, I was out at a show. And my health has taken kind of a turn. I'm okay, generally speaking. I'm working my way back from a multitude of problems. And I'm just going to less shows. Oh, I understand totally. I so understand that. And, thank you. First of all, thank you for your service, Drew. I really mean that. A lot of people talk about their freedoms, but they're not willing to lay it on the line. And I really respect and appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I love that your name is Drew Odinson. I love that immensely. So, I get it. There are ADA seatings where you can avoid the crowd, and some places do have and some festivals do have very discounted things for veterans, including like a ADA and veterans entrances where you can skirt some of the crowds. But I understand that if it's a personal problem for you, that would kind of ruin it for you. And obviously we want you to be safe and healthy and happy, especially after, your service. Thank you, sir. So anyway, why did Nine Inch Nails do this? Because when you think about festivals, you have Ozfest, which was hugely successful at one point and then kind of fizzled out. I know that Sharon is looking to resuscitate the brand. I doubt Ozzy could be part of it at this point. I'm very concerned about Ozzy even making it to perform well at this farewell Black Sabbath and Ozzy show coming up for charity in July. Obviously, we are well aware of Knotfest. Slipknot's Knotfest is all over the world. It's international. They've managed to make it into a thing. As you know, Perry Farrell of Jane's Addiction and Porno for Pyros launched Lollapalooza. Then he left the brand. He came back to the brand. That is now a global brand, but it's a team of people that organize and book that festival. But Knotfest is probably the most successful festival ever, statistically speaking. And the Metallica had 2 Orion Fests and they lost money on both of those. There's a definite chance that they will bring that brand back someday. But these things don't always work out. And sometimes a small thing Every Time I Die always had their Christmas shows, and now Better Lovers is trying to do that with their new thing. August Burns Red does a Christmas mini festival every year near their hometown. I know A Day to Remember has tried to do a festival type of thing. We know that Dance Gavin Dance has Swan Fest, but I think that's a very niche kind of thing, as popular as they are. What is the best show I have seen? Boy, that's really tough. I'm 52 years old despite this baby face under here and under this beard, and I've gone to a lot of shows. I've also performed at a lot of shows because I used to play in bands, and I am once again playing in a band that hopes to perform live soon. I might say Tool on the Enema tour was incredible, just a mind-blowing experience. I've seen Metallica more than any other band, and they have been stellar most of the time when I've seen them. I saw Metallica my second or third show back after the pandemic. I saw Metallica's secret show. They did a series of secret shows, Nashville, Chicago, I think, and San Francisco, and I live in San Francisco, and I saw Metallica with 500 people, and it was mind-blowing. Not just because it was our first thing back from anything, and it was their first thing back after 2.5 years or more not playing, maybe more than that, but because James had gone to rehab, and it was the end of the cycle before all those things. So I don't know. That was up there. Alice in Chains has to be high up there. I saw Pink Floyd twice. Deftones, Korn, Black Sabbath, Devin Townsend, Meshuggah. There's so many. 2004, Godsmack opened for Metallica. That was a huge tour. I remember that. There's a lot of them. Wardruna, Enslaved, doing the anniversary set once a while back. So I've been very lucky to see quite a few shows. Federico has passed by, as well as Red Goo. So anyway, why is Nine Inch Nails doing this festival? So they wanted to get into festivals. You know that sort of as a sideline to Nine Inch Nails, maybe even more than Nine Inch Nails, Trent and Atticus Ross, who is the only other permanent member beside Trent since 2016, they do a ton of soundtrack stuff. I talked about their awards at the top of the show. And your mom said Kiss. I saw Kiss on the reunion tour, the first reunion tour in 1996, and that was amazing. I had not purposefully seen them until they brought back Ace and Peter. I only saw 10 minutes of them about 3 years ago, and I was glad it was only 10 minutes because I thought they were starting to slip really bad, especially Paul's voice because it was shot. And but Kiss was my first favorite band. I saw Pink Floyd, like I mentioned. So I think Nine Inch Nails has wanted to get into kind of this idea of a unique festival, not just Trent puts on all his bands. We got a thing last year that we covered called the Max Cavalera Dynasty Show. I'm sincerely hoping that Max does it again, where he put kind of all his kids and all his kids' bands and himself out in a all-day festival with some local openers and some indigenous bands and all these things that are important to Max: music, art, family, right? For the Max Cavalera Dynasty Show. And I think everybody played except Cavalera, which he's now on tour with, which he knew he was doing. And all the bands played. We got to cover it. Was very lucky that we got to go cover it. We do have a team in Arizona, and our regular team in Arizona couldn't cover it, so we had a backup team cover it. So it was very thankful for Chris Elliott for the review and Annie Atlasman for the photos and some video from Chris as well. And so that's really cool. That worked out. I hope he brings it back and does it again. It brought Nailbomb back, and Nailbomb is doing stuff all summer, which is cool. So I think Trent and Atticus wanted to kind of do this thing where they wanted to have a an immersive thing, not just music, but composers, orchestra, electronica, maybe even some kind of dance music, and visuals, like installations, like a gallery or an exhibition, but like almost like a larger than life thing outdoors. So this thing has been taking shape for over a couple of years, and I'm really interested to see what this is going to be. So the details, because you were asking, Future Ruins, which is a phrase we've heard before in literature and music. Let's see, I had it here a second ago. There's also an album by Swerve Driver, which is pretty funny. So the Future Ruins Music and Arts Festival, and I'm going to run through the whole lineup and the choices here. The Future Ruins Festival. Future Ruins is a first-of-its-kind music festival, a day-long event where the world's most influential film and television composers step out from behind the screen and onto the stage. Here's a picture of Atticus by Meg Loyal. And let's see if there are anybody commenting. Not really, but if anybody jumps in the comments everywhere but TikTok, I will pump up your comment here. So, this thing seems pretty fantastic. Set across 3 stages at the Los Angeles Equestrian Center, Future Ruins is designed to feel thoughtful and immersive, bringing together this music to light in an environment where it's never been heard before. Every artist is a headliner, each with their own specialty curated moment. Each artist is encouraged to take big swings and reimagine their work for live audience. Ranging from electronic sets and live bands to orchestral performances, fans have a chance to experience live debuts from composers who rarely appear on stage. This one-time lineup is not just a music festival, it's a cinematic ceremony, a deep dive into sound and story, and a historic first for Los Angeles, especially Los Angeles and their history in the film and music industry. Of course, this festival is going to come right on the heels of the Peel It Back World Tour by Nine Inch Nails. There, Trent talked about a year ago about not wanting to tour much anymore. He has 5 children with his wife. That's why we haven't heard from How to Destroy Angels, that band with the 2 of them for a while. They've been raising their kids. So this is a big swing in his own way that he's going to come out on tour, probably with a new record after, and maybe tour a little bit next year too, I hope, and play more of Europe. He's doing big shows, arenas and amphitheaters in some cases. Just maybe like 5 handfuls of dates, 25, 30 dates across a few months. Sometimes 2 in a city, but not really. So the Peel It Back World Tour is going to happen, and this festival is going to happen, and this is the Future Ruins Festival. So I'm going to read you the lineup, and I think this is pretty incredible. And again, so unlike Trent could have curated a bunch of industrial metal bands. He could have put a bunch of metal bands together. He could have put a bunch of alternative rock bands together. Obviously, Nine Inch Nails crosses a lot of genres, but he specifically wanted to highlight composers, including some that have never performed live, because a lot of these people just compose and write scores, and then they don't even conduct the works that make it to the recording. They just do the composition. So here's the entire lineup, and we're going to go through it pretty well. I have heard of Hakeo asks if I have heard of Heavy Metal by Cameron Winter. I believe I have. That name is familiar to me. So here's the lineup for the festival. And Not Lindsay is also here. Let's see if anybody's on the gram. Nope. All right. So here's the festival lineup for Future Ruins. Cristobal Tapia de Ver, the recent hit movie Baby Girl, the horror movie Smile, the TV show The White Lotus, Black Mirror, Utopia, Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, Pony Boy, Third Day, National Treasure, The Girl with All the Gifts, and Humans. Ben Salisbury and Geoff Barrow, who you might know most of all from Black Mirror and Ex Machina, the movie, but Civil War, which is an incredible movie, which I actually thought was a Nine Inch Nails soundtrack. Annihilation, the great kind of sci-fi horror movie. Loose, Free, Fire, and Devs. Danny Elfman needs no introduction. He shouldn't need an introduction at all. But Danny Elfman, obviously, The Simpsons, like Oingo Boingo, Batman, Pee-wee Herman, Edward Scissorhands. He's basically Tim Burton's main collaborator. Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, Men in Black, Good Will Hunting, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Big Fish, Alice in Wonderland, Spider-Man, Milk, and my personal favorite would be Wanted soundtrack for the Angelina Jolie and James McAvoy movie that I'm a big fan of, and there's an incredible rock song on there. There's also some Nine Inch Nails on that soundtrack. Wouldn't you be surprised? Of course you are. Of course you aren't. I know that Danny, by the way, I'm not forgetting the fact that Danny Elfman has had some kind of off the stage stuff dealing with SA. I'm not ignorant to that. You can look that up on Reddit if you want to. It's out there in the public domain. But he's still not canceled, apparently. Claudio Simonetti's Goblin. Just for Goblin and Nine Inch Nails, I would go to this thing. If you don't know who Claudio Simonetti is, Goblin, there's a couple of versions of the band Goblin. Claudio Simonetti is the master of horror music soundtracks. If you love Ghost, the reason you love Ghost is not because Ghost sounds like Scooby-Doo or Blue Oyster Cult. It's because those sound like Claudio Simonetti's compositions for Goblin. And the soundtracks to incredible giallo horror movies like Suspiria, Profondo Rossi, also known as Deep Red, Dawn of the Dead, the incredible classic Demons, Tenebrae, Phenomena, and Opera. I love all these movies, and I would go just to see Goblin. I'm going to probably say this horribly, but Hildur Guðnadóttir, known for Joker, Chernobyl, A Haunting in Venice, Sicario, Day of the Soldado, Mary Magdalene, the Tar soundtrack, 28 years later, coming up soon, The Bone Temple, Women Talking, and Hedda. A performance of Howard Shore, the legendary Howard Shore, composer of many Academy Award-winning scores, but specifically David Cronenberg's Crash. Isabel Waller-Bridge is doing the music. She's known for composing Munich, Emma, Black Mirror, Wicked Little Letters, Fleabag, of course, with her partner Phoebe Waller-Bridge, The Lesson, The Boy, The Mole, The Fox and the Horse, Magpie, and Sweet Pea. John Carpenter, oh my God, the John Carpenter, the director of all the amazing horror movies, but specifically Halloween, They Live, The Thing, Christine, Escape from New York, and many more. John Carpenter is doing a handful of Halloween shows himself across the country in specific places, New York and LA in particular, and this is right after his Halloween LA residency. Just Me is here. Just Me is a ghost cult every day, or Just Me, we're talking about, Just Me 22. We are talking about the Nine Inch Nails Festival. Do you have interest in going to see Nine Inch Nails? I know they're playing Oakland and LA, or do you have interest in going to this festival of composers headed up by Trent and Atticus of Nine Inch Nails? Also, if that wasn't enough, Goblin, John Carpenter, Howard Shore's music, Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein from Stranger Things, Lost in the Night, Native Son, Butterfly, the Retaliator soundtrack, The Valley of the Boom, and their own metal projects. Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo has done so many films, including Thor Ragnarok, The Life Aquatic, Royal Tenenbaums, Rushmore, Bottle Rocket. People seem to love that one. Rugrats, the Lego Movie, Minecraft Movie, Cocaine Bear, and I mentioned Thor Ragnarok, and of course Devo. Questlove performing the score of the works of Curtis Mayfield, which will no doubt be including Superfly. I mean, that's going to be unbelievable just by itself. Robert Aki Aubrey Lowe. Candyman, Master Telemarketers, The Color of Care, Grasshopper Republic, Power, Yunvion, Seeds and Life After. Tamar Kali, the composer of Mudbound, Shirley, The Assistant, The Fire Inside, The Last Thing You Wanted, Come Sunday Palmer, The Lie, Little Richard, I Am Everything. Terrence Blanchard, the great composer for such films as Black Klansman, Malcolm X, Inside Man, The Five Bloods, When the Levees Broke, One Night in Miami, The Woman King, and Perry Mason. And, of course, Trent and Atticus. Now, no real mention of Nine Inch Nails here, but just a mention of The Social Network, Watchmen, Gone Girl, Soul, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Challengers, Empire of Light, Waves, The Vietnam War, Mank, and The Killer. We talked earlier about how many awards Trent and Atticus have won, and their first soundtrack as Nine Inch Nails is coming out soon. We'll talk about that. They've done a lot of soundtrack work, just Trent and Atticus under their names, and now they finally felt that there was a movie that was worthy of having the name Nine Inch Nails on it, and we're going to talk about that in one more second. And they're not even the closer. I imagine this is the running order on different stages. Volker Bertelsmann, a.k.a. Hauschka. All Quiet on the Western Front. Conclave recently saw that. Amazing. The Lion, The Amateur, Dune Prophecy, which is coming up soon. Day of the Jackal, Hollywood Gate, Adrift, War Sailor, The Old Guard Stowaway, and Patrick Melrose. Now, we don't know what form this is going to take for Nine Inch Nails. Are they going to play a set as Nine Inch Nails? Are they going to just do their score work? Is it going to be like a greatest hits soundtrack from across their movies? Could they just pick one thing and perform that? I bought the Challengers soundtrack on vinyl. I loved it so much. I had to have it. So what is this going to be? This is going to be magnificent. Here's just, again, that photo of Trent you've seen a few times in this live stream if you've been hanging with us. Just a reminder, feel free to drop us a tip. We can always use the cash. All the money we make goes right back into the company. It does not go to me or my partners personally. But, once again, feel free. The tips are in the tip menu. Ocean Lord Australia is here. What's up, Ocean Lord? Yo, Tikakashi says, let's kill off the ghostcultmag.com banner and just bust in a comment here. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to star this mofo. John Carpenter does rule. We're huge fans, and we've reviewed some of his work here at Ghost Cult. But I mean, holy hell, man. Like the Stranger Things guys, Claudio Simonetti's Goblin. Hey, Ocean Lord, what's up? I mean, this is a phenomenal lineup for this festival, and it truly is going to be unique and a one-shot deal. Here's another theory I'd like to float. Last year was the 30th anniversary of the Downward Spiral. This year, we just passed it like 10, 11 days ago, was the anniversary of With Teeth, and Year Zero, which was always meant to have like a visual accompaniment, like an entire album visualizer. There was talk of a series on HBO based on the Year Zero theme. And I always felt like With Teeth and Year Zero also a very like similar visual. If you look at those covers on this slide here, I'm sorry, TikTok, you can't see it unless you come over to YouTube or somewhere else or Instagram. What's up, Drew Jones? But yeah, just maybe they do a full album playthrough. Maybe they do a 2-hour set and it's like 1 hour of just compositions and another hour of Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails is going on tour. And speaking of that Peelback tour that I talked about just a few minutes ago, we don't really know who's in the band except for Trent and Atticus. So he might have a whole new band. He might return to former bandmates to come out and play guitar and keyboards along with Trent and drums and other things. He's had some of the best musicians in the world have been in Nine Inch Nails. So it'll be very interesting to see who's out there. And just a reminder, this is also possible guests, right? There's no telling what guests might appear, because when Nine Inch Nails got inducted to the Hall of Fame, they did that panel where they welcomed everybody that was, inducted in together, including Richard Patrick of Filter, who we've interviewed here at Ghost Cult. We'll drop the link in the thing here. Akuchi Wolf is here. What's up, Akuchi Wolf? He invited guests to perform a special one-off performance in Cleveland with Ministry and Nitzareb, and he's been cohorts and colleagues with many people across industrial metal and rock would be something if he brought in what if he brought in an array of collaborators. Peter Murphy, I've seen with Nine Inch Nails. It would be pretty incredible if he came in and brought in maybe like a rotating cast of singers to sing instead of him or with him. How amazing would that be? Is this going to be like a greatest hits ever of Nine Inch Nails? This would be one hell of a live album or experience or something, pay-per-view, or you stream on Veeps or something. I mean, this would be insane. So anything is possible. We know that it's going to be grandiose. We know sometimes there's going to be an orchestra. There's going to be 3 stages. It's going to be I am not familiar with the equestrian fields in Los Angeles, but they are apparently taking over the entire thing. It is a massive roster. I suspect they will probably have the LA area has no shortage of classical musicians that not only perform routinely on soundtracks that probably play the live theater, crews of Los Angeles. Honara Band is here. Hello, Honara. And Lucifer's Lover is here. So, yeah, this is pretty massive. And I think because it's not metal, except for Goblin, and maybe you could argue the Stranger Things guys have done some metal music, that I think the metal press was not very impressed with this. But Variety had this, Pitchfork, whatever, Consequence of Sound. I was really surprised that the major other metal sites other than Blabbermouth did not have this. I was, maybe the first one to have it up after the major periodicals. So I was a little surprised that the major metal press didn't go gaga for this, but it's not really rock or metal, right? It's soundtracks and scores, and only music nerds are going to love that. But I know you're all music nerds if you're watching this channel. And please give us a sub. I'm grateful for everybody that follows. We follow back. In most cases, if you've got a public profile, especially, we're trying to boost these numbers. So, if you support us, it helps us keep doing what we do. Once again, a little programming note. I will be back tomorrow afternoon, maybe in about 15 hours, doing my weekly show. It's normally at night or early evening Eastern time to dinner hour, but I've got some travel tomorrow, so I'm going to try to do my show early, like 1, 2 o'clock. There's Ocean Lord says there's a real gap between metal and rock that gets forgotten about. I agree completely, and we love all kinds of music. Listen, I have a background in musicology. I studied classical music and jazz. I love rock and metal. One of my claims to fame is that I saw Frank Sinatra and Slayer in the same week in 1991. I love telling that story. It's wild. I was the youngest person at the Frank Sinatra show, and then I watched Slayer rip up Madison Square Garden in New York and get banned for 10 years. So anything's possible. The fans rioted. It was wild. And that's true. The Gap does feed both. And I just think it's very interesting. Again, we talked earlier, for those just coming on recently in the last few minutes, at the top of the show, I said, this is a gamble, but I don't think that Trent is a person, he's put out a book. He's done so much stuff creatively, and I know that he doesn't want to tour that much. So maybe a festival is the way to go. This is why I think Metallica is winding down. This is the last few years of Metallica touring, and I don't think there's even going to be a farewell tour. I think they're just going to stop one day. And maybe a festival, an all-day festival somewhere or in a few places is a smarter move for them. It's less of everything. But it's the same thing with this. It's if this festival works like a charm, they're going to keep doing them. And if it dies on the vine, they're not going to keep doing them. I don't see how it couldn't be a success. Tickets go on sale on the 21st in just about a week. We don't know how much they are yet. The average festival ticket is $200 to $600. This is a one-day event. There's general admission and VIP. I imagine the VIP to be very fancy and expensive for the LA area. I expect general admission to be more affordable, but not cheap. Just being honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if this was $200 or $300 to get in for the day. That probably will not include parking. LA is notorious for this shystery parking. I remember my friends went to see Metallica last year at the end of the year, and it was $50 to park at the football stadium where the Rams play football. Byron D is here. What up, homie? Congrats on the Life of Agony shows. Hope to get to see you in the next year or so. So yeah, I just, I'm astounded and happy that this festival is happening, and I'm just, I'm wondering what the possibilities are. What are these possibilities? Just another couple of bits of Nine Inch Nails news. We know that they have, I mentioned at the top, they've done 19 soundtrack scores officially under the name of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They have 3 more coming this year, and 2 that we know about. Tron Eras, which I am so stoked about. I am such a big Tron fan. I loved the last one, Tron Legacy, and I love the original Tron. As cheesy as it looks now by today's standards, I still love that movie, and I'm super stoked. Go see the trailer of Tron Eras. It's got the Nine Inch Nails music in it. It is already seems like it's going to be a banger. Ocean Lord also says creativity will enable the industry to continue. We need to shake up what a festival is. Nine Inch Nails has that creativity. I agree 1,000%. Ocean Lord, on point. Thank you so much for chiming in and commenting those comments. I'm all about it. I agree. Nine Inch Nails will shake. I think this is really a step forward for festivals. I think this is super exactly what they wanted to do. Something unique to them that is their kind of ethos. In addition to Tron Legacy, we broke the news recently that the Intergalactic Bounty Hunter franchise from Naughty Dog has Nine Inch Nails music in it. And then there's a third soundtrack. I don't remember if they've announced it yet, but I know there's a third one they confirmed. So that's at least 3 more whole albums this year, plus assuming a prophesied Nine Inch Nails album that's supposed to come out this year or early next year to coincide with this tour and maybe next year's tours. So that is the live stream. Unless anybody's got any more questions for me, I will get out of here. I'm going to be back on here in about 15 hours. Please like and subscribe wherever you're watching to get notified when we go live, to check out our news updates at ghostcultmag.com. I can't do this without all the help of my peers and my partners, and I'm just thankful. But check us out. Yeah, we are the alternative. We are the antidote to the regular metal news. Just the news. No drama, not a bunch of bullshit, not a bunch of baiting, just the news and just interviews with bands. We've got a bunch of killer interviews on YouTube. You can check out the full interviews there. All our little shorts and clips of interviews are all over our other socials. Feel free to check us out. Appreciate you, Ocean Lord. Appreciate you, Just Me 22. Appreciate Hakael. Appreciate everybody that's passed by. Tikakoshki, thank you. Tikakoshki, sorry if I said that wrong. But I'm Keefe from ghostcultmag.com. Thanks for being here. We don't really have an ending for this one, so I'll see you tomorrow on the live stream with all the week's rock and metal news, tour dates, metal festival previews, interviews, new music releases, and everything else we do in about an hour and change every Thursday afternoon. Peace and take care.